solving two-step inequalities, and then graphing that solution on a number line. Now tell me, if you, well, I'm going to tell you, if you can solve a two-step equation, you can solve a two-step inequality. So we're going to jump right in. You can tell it's an inequality by the inequality symbol. Now the big thing to remember is that if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to flip the sign, but it's only multiplying and dividing. The inequality is treated just like an equal sign, right? We do the same thing to both sides. So we always want to do the variable portion last. So the 3x is the last thing we're going to play with, which means I need to move that minus 9 to the other side. So I'm going to plus 9 to both sides of that dotted line, right? Both sides of the inequality symbol. That means negative 9 plus 9 goes away. I'm left with 3x. My sign comes down, which is greater than, and 12 plus 9 is 21. Now at this point, I need to get the x by itself. Because I have 3 times x, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. Because remember, we always do the opposite. So if we have a 3 times x, the opposite of that is multiplication. No. If you're multiplying, the opposite is division. Sometimes words are hard. So when we divide by 3, I have x is greater than 7. I don't flip the sign because notice what I divide by is a positive 3. Now this is something that I really like to show my work here because then it's very, very clear whether or not you multiply or divide by a negative. Now let's put this on a number line. After you solve and you say, okay, my number is 7, I'm going to go ahead and just put 7 right in the middle. And because this is a number line, the numbers get larger to the right and smaller going to the left. The inequality symbol is greater than. Remember that if we have greater than or less than, we just have an open circle. And greater than or equal to or less than or equal to is a filled in circle. Some places will use a parenthesis or a bracket. It depends on either what system you're using or what your instructor wants. So here we're going to have an open circle on 7. And because the variable is first, I always put the variable first. It points to the right, right? X is greater, and that means we shade to the right. If you are someone who uses parenthesis or bracket, that's a pretty easy fix. We would just do a parenthesis shaded to the right. Same basic idea. Okay, this means not included. That's why it's an open circle. And the closed circle or the bracket means included. The included is the equal part. Okay, let's do a couple more. Solve the following inequality and graph it. X over 2 plus 7 is less than or equal to negative 3. So again, I put my dotted line. I'm a big fan of showing all of the work because then I make fewer mistakes. So the variable portion is the last thing I do. That means I want to get rid of a plus 7. So the opposite of plus 7 is minus 7. So I still have x over 2. Bring down my sign because I just subtracted, so there's no changes. Less than or equal to, and now negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10. So how do I get rid of an x divided by 2? Well, I have division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. I am multiplying by a positive. So my sign does not change. And my answer is x is less than or equal to negative 20. So I draw my number line. I've got negative 20. Numbers get bigger going to the right. Numbers get smaller going to the left. Because of the equal sign, this is included, so I color in, right? This is a closed circle. I'm going less than that, which means I shade to the left. And there we go. Okay, negative 5x plus 3 is less than or equal to 18. Again, the variable portion is the last thing I do. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So negative 5x is less than or equal to 15. Now I have multiplication, so I'm going to divide. Notice, I am dividing by a negative. So that means my sign flips, and I get x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So when I put this on a number line, I still have a closed circle because I have the equal to, and it's going to be greater. And at any point in time, if you're like, did I shade the right way? You can always check. So I know that going to the right, 0 is on this number line. So if I would plug 0 in for x, -5 times 0 plus 3 is less than or equal to 18. Well, -5 times 0 is 0. So I just get 3 is less than or equal to 18. Sure is. And that's how I know it works. And that, my friends, is two-step inequalities and graphing on a number line.